What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of It's Called Football, Premier League podcast by Vendetta Sports Media. Jerry Walker, Jackson Fyda are your hosts, and as always, we are here to talk the Premier League.
hmm
But with that being said, it is the first international break, so we got kind of some international stuff coming up, and there's a lot of news around that Jackson and I will be talking on. Before we hop into all of that news, Jackson, how are you doing this Wednesday morning or afternoon, I guess?
Yeah, it's afternoon now. Doing all right. Can't really complain. A nice little break, I guess, from our usually scheduled footballing program and get to watch some international games, which I don't know about you, but I always enjoy the international breaks, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. It seems like there aren't that many great matchups this week. At least looking at the Euros, it's all the big dogs playing little countries. I know England plays Ukraine and then a friendly against Scotland. US even plays Uzbekistan and Oman. It's
That's going to be the U.S. going all the way to the World Cup, though. It's just games like that because
that's
everyone else is going to be doing competitive stuff, and you got to find someone who's not. So
yeah. I mean, France Ireland could be interesting. We might see another Thierry Henry-esque moment, handball, score it with your hand, maybe.
that was, Ireland was capable. That was terrible.
But
So
even then, like looking at it, we'll get into more of these, but it's just not overly that exciting of fixtures this week.
Netherlands and Greece, maybe, but it's in Netherlands. Probably not.
No, the big one.
Oh, North Macedonia, Italy.
Yeah, well, yeah. See if Italy can get redemption. I'm thinking the Faroe Islands in Moldova.
Oh, how could you not? How
Don't
could you
miss
not
it.
look at that?
But no, all jokes aside, we are going to start with some Premier League action. We will touch on international stuff later on in this show, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But Premier League match week 4, and there were some one-sided matches to say the least, a lot of excitement, and I want to start with Brighton and Newcastle. The game we said was going to be the match of the week, and wow, Brighton showed up and showed out, to say the least.
I was actually shocked with how good they are and how, first of all, Evan Ferguson,
Oh yeah,
18-year-old getting a hat trick, Irish, by the way. I know we were just shitting on them, Irish. So maybe there is hope. But yeah, he got a hat trick against a team that I've been hyping up as one of the best defenses in the league. They have not been very good defensively to start out the season. I've actually been shocked by that. But did you expect Brighton to go put 3 on them and just absolutely run them off the pitch?
no, I really didn't expect that. It's kind of I was amazed when I saw that it final full time was 3-1. Watching the highlights, it made more sense because they did kind of dominate Brighton. They had more possession, more shots, but this is not at all what I expected, especially after Newcastle has struggled. I mean, lost to Liverpool, lost to Man City. You'd think they'd be like, okay, we need to put pedal to the metal. We need to get back to winning ways, do whatever we can. Then they come out this flat away to Brighton.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Brighton's been superb to start the season, but I expected far more from Newcastle. And like you said, for an 18-year-old to kind of run all over you, it's kind of surprising.
No,
Now there's a lot of discussion potentially. I don't know how deep it would actually be of Evan Ferguson maybe switching from Ireland, going to that England national team. I highly doubt that would happen, but we've seen it with Jack Grealish, Declan Rice, who both played in that Irish youth squad as well as England's youth at one point and then chose to go to England. So not
yeah,
a picture, but we'll
I've
see.
been I've been seeing that as well. There is a big difference, and that is Evan Ferguson was born in Ireland.
Hmm.
I think he said like, if I switch, I would never be allowed back.
Oh, probably.
I saw that, so I don't think he'll ultimately switch. I think that's basically like, all right, you know what, I'm Irish.
Yeah.
Let's do this thing, and that honestly makes a lot of sense if you're a striker or a forward player. If you're looking at England or Ireland, it's gonna be a lot easier to break into the Irish side. You know, that's why Balawan came to the U.S. Ultimately, it's a lot easier to get minutes with other nations than England, who has a very impressive attacking front.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Ferguson was one of 3 hat tricks this weekend. We will touch on the other 2 briefly, but I guess not. Those games were both blowouts. Erling Haaland getting one in a 5-1 win over Fulham for Man City, and then Heung-min Son getting one for Tottenham in their 5-2 win. I
Mhm.
don't know the last time we saw 3 hat tricks, and that's kind of what made Evan Ferguson's even more impressive is sure he did this. And I mean, obviously consolation goal for Newcastle was 3-0 until the 92nd minute. Callum Wilson got one back, but makes it impressive looking at the company he's up there with for just those hat tricks on that Saturday.
Yeah. I think first of all, I think that I may have seen that that's like the first time that's ever happened. I don't know if it's the first time or first time in a long time. It's either or. But going back to Evan Ferguson, for an 18-year-old to do that, he's going to be at cloud nine right now. Because I mean, you do that against a team, not only just any Premier League team, but a Champions League level Premier League team. Which, if you're from Newcastle's perspective, and Eddie Howe, you got to figure something out because you guys have been very unimpressive, especially compared to last year. The City game happened, whatever, you lose 1-0. It actually wasn't that bad. But the Newcastle game, you're up 1-0, up a man, and then you let Darwin Nunez, of all people, who is terrible with finishing, and he showed that again this week, by the way, cannot finish to save his life, score 2 on you. And then this week, you let an 18-year-old who people have known about, he's been playing, but he suddenly just jumped into the spotlight with this performance. I feel like he was relatively unknown compared to where like his status is now just 1 week ago because of what happened against Newcastle. So if you're Eddie Howe in Newcastle, you're looking at Botman, you're looking at Schär, you're looking at Trippier, you're looking at everyone in your back line, and you're like, guys, we got to figure this out. And the midfield, because that was terrible. But I guess it wasn't just the defense's fault. Brighton had 56% possession. They had 15 shots compared to Newcastle's 9. Newcastle only had 2 on target, one of which was the goal at the very end of the game in garbage time. So you
Exactly like they were that impressive either.
didn't.
It
No.
wasn't like that attack was very impressive by
Yeah.
those numbers standpoint.
So while you definitely need the defense to be strong, because at the end of the day, that's how you build your foundation, is having a strong defense. That's what they had last year that allowed them to be so good. Your midfield and attack was pretty terrible as well. You got dominated in possession stats. And going forward, you offered no real threat against a Brighton team, which I think is very good offensively, but has weaknesses defensively. And you weren't able to do anything against them. And you got your second shot on target in the 91st minute or 92nd when you scored. That's not good enough for a team of Newcastle's quality.
I mean, you got to look like obviously we were talking about how Newcastle needed to bounce back after 2 losses and come back and get to winning ways. Brighton was the same way, lost 3-1 last time out against a good West Ham team, or at least West Ham team that's surprising everybody at the moment. They did exactly what they needed to. They knew what they had to do. They knew they had to get the win by any means. And it was Evan Ferguson. The rest of the team kind of all just worked well together and found a way to get that 3-1 win. And it's not looking great for Newcastle looking at their upcoming fixtures. Obviously, they have Brentford next when we return from the international break. Then they make a trip to Milan for Champions League.
Yeah, that's
And
tough.
then in their next 6 matches, it involves trip to Milan, home to Man City in the Cup, and home to PSG. And then they're home to West Ham again, or home to West Ham right after PSG on 4 days. So,
I mean, from a Premier League side, their schedule actually isn't terrible.
no, obviously
Brentford,
Burnley, Sheffield United, Brentford.
Burnley, so you have time to pick up some of those matches. But you're also going to be putting most of your attention on the Champions League and that Man City game.
Yep.
You're going to Milan, which is one of the hardest places to play in the world as a San Siro. I mean, that's going to be different level for Newcastle fans of like who aren't of that older generation to experience this. And the players as well. You're going to be going into a completely different environment there. And then at home it's at home against City. But we know what City does, and they are incredible in the EFL Cup. They're like actually insanely good when it comes to cup competitions. It's annoying as hell. And then at home against PSG, who, they have Colomwani now. They have Asensio. Oh yeah, they have this guy named Mbappe as well.
Who's actually playing pretty well to start the French season. They're in trouble. at least in Champions League. But I mean, this is what we saw. You never know. Champions League, you can teams do surprise, but I mean, you're in a group as Newcastle is with PSG, one Liga, AC Milan, one
Who's
of the top couple teams in Serie A last
they're
season,
flying high right now too.
and thriving at the moment, and then Borussia Dortmund, who were going to win the league up until the last second half of the final match of the season last year.
Dortmund's been okay. I'll give him the Dortmund one. I like that. Dortmund's been terrible.
Now they did lose Jude Bellingham, so it was bound to happen. But
2-2 to Heidenheim, dude. They're up 2-0 and tied 2-2 to Heidenheim. But going back to it, the next stretch from Newcastle isn't great. Like you said, it doesn't look very good for them, especially when you look at what they've been doing. If you can't at least put in a good shift against Brighton, who hats off to them. De Zerbi has them playing so well. West Ham game, they even dominated and they just lost. It's just one of those fluky games.
Yep.
Brighton's been playing very well, but Newcastle is a better team on paper than Brighton is. They should have done better than they did.
yes, they should have. I'm going to move on from this to another team that, on paper, should have absolutely outclassed their opposition Chelsea and Nottingham Forest. I think it's safe to say, unless you're a Chelsea fan, you loved the result of this one, and it's amazing. Forest get the 1-0 win. Anthony Alanga comes on right before the end of the first half. Then 3 minutes into the second half, gets the goal, assisted by Awoniyi, who he's been a stud as well. But
So good.
this Forest team surprises Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and things go from bad to worse. Chelsea had 73% possession, 8 shots total, 2 on target. To Forest 6 with 3 on target. So we're making the best chances, but still 73% possession, 7-0 on corners, and you find a way to mess it up.
Dude, this is Chelsea that we've come to know and love the past year and a half. Just absolutely bottling games that they shouldn't be bottling.
Oh,
I mean, they had 3/4 of the possession, basically. They had astronomically more shots, 3 times as many. Forrest actually had more on target, which is shocking. Turner had to do nothing in goal. 2 shots on target. He really had to do nothing. I remember the commentators were even saying they're like Turner's looked so comfortable back there because he didn't really have to do anything. Chelsea were shooting, but they weren't shooting anywhere remotely close to the target, or at least making Turner have to worry. So I'm going to credit Forest defense, first of all. Who was in their defensive line?
Their defensive line was Scott McKenna, Joe Worrell, and Willie Bolly.
Yeah, so that back three right there did their job because going into this on the road at Chelsea, you know they're going to have the lion's share of possession and you know they're going to have chances. But if you can have it so they're not dangerous chances, you're going to be okay. And they did that. So well done to Forest. And on the attacking side, they did what they had to do. They got the goal. Awoniyi involved again, and Alongo, who has been very, very good, I think, since moving to Forest from Man U. So they did their job. But if you're Chelsea, Nico Jackson, not good enough. Raheem Sterling, terrible. Enzo Fernandez, not good enough. I still don't think Caicedo's showing off like he needs to be doing. Just their whole team in general, they aren't showing up. They're not playing well. And if you're their back three, I always am going to be partial to Thiago Silva. He's an absolute baller, and he deserves better around him. I don't think Disasi's been good enough, and I don't think Colwell's been good enough.
No.
And Sam's goal.
It's been such a bad performance by Chelsea all throughout the season. It's sure they might have a couple wins here and there. What? Their wins this season? Just 2. One in the league, one in the cup. Beat Luton and beat Wimbledon.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they drew with Liverpool, lost to West Ham, and have now lost to Forest. This is a bad Chelsea team. I thought they were going to do better this season. I'll throw it out right there. I thought they were going to somehow get stuff clicking, and maybe over the summer, practicing more together, they would get that chemistry going and they get flowing a bit more. Not necessarily top 4 by any means, but I had them, I think, in our Premier League preview being 7th, maybe, getting into one of the European spots, but does not look the case right now, and it looks like they're still just throwing money willy-nilly, hoping it stuck to something and those players would figure it out. But it's not a good time for them, and I wonder how long it'll be until their manager gets sacked.
Yeah, and I feel bad. I said they're going to get eighth. I
Yeah.
didn't think they'd get Europe. I thought they'd be better than this. So right now they're looking like a team that's going to finish in 14th to 16th position. That's what they look like right now.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because Poch is a good manager, but he just is thrown in this terrible situation and is expected to make something of it. When at the end of the day, the owners and the general manager have say in what's going on with the transfers, and they are just buying players without any plan, it feels like. And then they're like, okay, figure out what you want to do, Poch. Like, what are you supposed to do if you're him?
Oh, there's nothing you really can do. They're like, we're not going to listen to you. We have our plan, and it's buy whoever the hell we want. Good luck. Make them all play together. This is why we hired you.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing against Poch. He's a great manager. We've seen him do well with other teams, but I don't know if there's any manager who could fix this Chelsea team the way that they were building it. I can speak from experience. That was the issue with Leeds last season when they got relegated. It was a bunch of players all kind of thrown together, hoping that talent alone would win you something or keep you promoted. In that case, that's not going to happen. You need to come in with a set plan, which Chelsea does not have clearly. We've spoken about it before. This is why Newcastle's doing well. West Ham, Brighton, they don't have nearly, well, Newcastle aside, don't nearly have as much money. But even then, Newcastle doesn't have the spending money.
Yeah, they don't go crazy with it.
It's they all buy players that fit the system, and it works together to build a cohesive group and just go that way. They have their identity. Chelsea has no identity apart from comedic relief at the moment.
Yeah. And it's like you said, it's just other teams have squad building in mind. They go after certain players that'll fit the manager's style. Because at the end of the day, you need players that fit your style. If you're a pressing team, you can't go get someone who's going to hold back. If you're a more defensive minded team, you can't have a center back who likes to take a risk coming out of the back. Like you have to find players who fit the system. Chelsea doesn't feel like they have a system.
No.
That's the problem. I think when it comes down to it, they just need to figure out a system. Be like, this is how we want to play, and this is how we're going to do it. I think the young guy, you can go the Arsenal route where you focus more on the younger guys for a bit and realize it's going to take a few years. You can go the Newcastle route where you don't go for younger guys necessarily. You go for good players who aren't as globally recognized and then turn them into a team that suddenly everyone's balling out. You can go the West Ham route where you sell a player and then you reinvest wisely with the players that you buy. You get good quality players that you play in the spot that left for cheaper. There are so many different ways that you can do this. There's no one size fits all. But they're just not doing anything. They don't have squad planning in place like West Ham has. They have no identity. When you see teams like Arsenal have, they've got nothing. It feels like they have no play style, no sense of identity, and that's why they're not playing well. And I remember everyone overreacted when they beat Luton. They're like, "Oh, look at this! Nico Jackson's the guy."
There we go.
Now,
Yeah.
but it's like you beat Luton, who is without a doubt the worst team talent-wise in the Premier League and will definitely be going down this year. I will make that call right now. They will be going down. They are not good enough to hang. So you beat them and you think you've suddenly arrived and everything is figured out, everything's going to be fine. No. No, because then you go out of home and lose to Nottingham Forest. You like they're in absolute shambles. There's no way to look at it. Losing to Nottingham Forest at home? And also, I'm just going to throw this out there. They only beat AFC Wimbledon 2-1 in the EFL Cup.
Yeah.
You only beat Wimbledon.
They were losing that match at halftime.
Yeah. So even that game was an absolute catastrophic failure in my mind. They had their good players playing as well. So that's not an excuse.
Yeah. Other issue is like maybe this is something Pochettino can fix, but he's made 2 changes to the starting 11 all season. They brought in so many new players. Maybe it's time to just make some adjustments. Obviously, the big loss is Nkunku is out for a little bit because he was balling out in preseason. Got to give him that credit. He's hurt. Carney Chukwuemeka is injured as well. Reece James is hurt. They do have some injuries, but like still, maybe something needs to change because something definitely needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Concedo made an error for the goal. They need to make some changes in that starting 11, I think, when they come back out against Bournemouth after the international break, because need to beat Bournemouth, need a result against Villa. Otherwise, this starts the Premier League season could get out of hand for the Blues.
Yeah, and they're sitting in 12th place right now. 4 points from their opening 4 games is not very auspicious of a start considering you already played Luton.
Chelsea relegated. You've heard it here for now.
Imagine.
God, the scenes if Chelsea were to get relegated.
Oh, dude, it'd be like world ending.
Oh, talk about a dumpster fire, a financial crisis. They'd have to sell every single player.
Mm-hmm.
It would be great to see. Be a mess for them, but
the documentaries would be awesome.
Oh, the memes, the documentaries, everything would be electric. The memes of another game that happened this weekend. You're wearing the shirt right there.
Yes, sir.
Arsenal Man United. Wow. That was quite an entertaining match to say the least. Arsenal do get the 3-1 win, but it was late. Declan Rice gets the goal in the 96th minute. Jesus gets another one in the 101st minute. And it's 3-1. Great result. What are your thoughts on that match? Because, I mean, Man U looked like they had won it in the 89th minute, and then his goal was offside, which rightfully so.
Barely, but rightfully so. Dude, watching it, you just looked at it and you're like, that's a goal. That's not offside. But then, yeah, obviously, thank freaking God VAR actually came through for Arsenal for once because usually they don't. Usually there's some bullshit. It actually worked in our favor this time. And, dude, I'm going to say this. Everyone's giving Rice the credit, Jesus off the bench. How about Gabriel? That step on the goal is one of the most high IQ moves I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. The ability to jump just last second. He realized he wasn't going to have a chance with Garnacho. He jumped to get him offside. He is the reason Arsenal won the game, or better yet, didn't lose the game. That decision right there, because he could have tried to recover, but I think Garnacho was just so far on the other side. Obviously, you can say you need to be positioned better. You can figure all that out in film. That's fine. But when it comes down to it, during the game, players solve the problems, and he solved it in probably the most smart, intelligent way I've ever seen. That was crazy, and that's why he should be starting. And I'm very happy that he's finally back in the lineup. I've been shocked for a while that he wasn't, and I'm really happy that Arteta's kind of finally stopped with that dumbass back four that he was doing for a while. I know Zinchenko was hurt, all this stuff, yada, 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 but now we're back to doing what we do best. We have that free-flowing ability with also a little bit more structure, which I'm very glad about. But that step by Gabriel is the reason we didn't lose the game. I actually felt for Garnacho there. I really did because it just felt like such a goal, and it felt like the most perfectly timed run. So if you're him, you're like, oh, dude, I doubt that's so right. And then it's just centimeters.
Yeah, you're just lucky this wasn't at Old Trafford because you know that goal would have stood had it been there.
Oh, yeah, and their players would be allowed to decapitate ours, and it'd be okay.
Yeah.
But, all right, going back to it, dude. So that happens. It's first of all, 1-1. I need to say something. Kai Havertz has been terrible.
Yeah.
He has been abysmal since moving. The swing and a miss was maybe the most comically bad thing I have seen an Arsenal player do in a long time.
Yep.
The goal, he lost the ball in midfield, and they countered, and Rashford scored. The only reason I was super pissed about that is because what he did earlier. That happens, especially when you're an attacking player. You'll lose the ball in higher spots. You don't want it to happen. It was still a terrible pass and terrible decision, but that stuff happens. But the swing and a miss, man, are you kidding me?
Wole.
Can't even hit the ball over the bar, at least. That's what most people do if they're going to miss from there. You hit the ball over the bar. He straight up had the net at his mercy. I mean, yeah, right there, I mean, Onana's in the goal, sure, but you have the rest of the net, basically. No one was near him. He swung and missed. Wasn't even like he didn't even make contact, I don't think. I honestly don't think it hit his foot.
No,
Um,
he's just been absolutely dreadful.
yeah,
Still looking like on his way to 007 status.
yeah, dude,
It's just it, I don't even know where to go from it because he's just got all that money given to him to Arsenal because Arsenal paid a boatload for him,
yeah,
way more than really they should have, especially considering you went out and got Declan Rice already for
way too much for him.
way too much as well. Shout out Saudi Arabia one more time for driving the prices up for everybody.
Fuckers.
But I mean, he's been so bad.
Dude, he's been
Mention that goal. Thankfully for you guys, you have Saka and Martin Odegaard.
dude, and Martinelli because
Martinelli. Yes.
Rashford's goal, first of all, was what a hit.
Yeah.
Give him credit for that. What a hit. Then right after that, we run right down the field. Martinelli, well done. Great cutback. And Odegaard, I love that he didn't cut across it and try to put it back that way because I think Onana would have had it covered and just smashed it near post from where he was. Perfect. 1 minute after the goal. So 1-1. And then, yeah, obviously we go the Garnacho thing in the 80, what was it, 7th?
9th.
89th. Wow. 89th minute. Called back. And then we had ourselves a $100 million goal. Declan Rice, baby. I don't care if it was deflected. I don't care what happened. He took the ball down with his chest in the box and smashed it. And when you smash it, good things will happen. Went in. Most electric scenes you will ever see.
Oh,
that knee slide into the corner and then the run to the Arsenal fans who it looked like they were baptizing him at the Emirates with the way they were treating him.
yeah,
It was the coolest thing ever.
Talk about a way to introduce yourself to the home crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he has played a couple matches, but this was his first goal as a gunner, and no bigger one than scoring it against Man U to get the dub or to really put your team in front. Jesus came back from injury recently and secured it. So overall, great result for Arsenal. Another terrible loss for Man U.
That goal had me screaming. That the composure to just completely stop your momentum, cut it, and send Dallo flying had me screaming. First of all, I mean, great ball from Vieira, but the composure he had there to do that, I didn't think he would. I thought he was going to get caught and Dallo was going to block it. But to do that and then just pass the ball into the net, give a cheeky little, oh, dude, absolute scenes. That was great. I got onto the bus after we got a road win in Eastern Illinois and got to see that. Day was twice as good as it was before that. Absolutely awesome. And that game is exactly why we watch the game, watch football in general. The emotion, the passion between both teams. This game finally means something because recently Arsenal and Man U have both been tragic. So this game actually means something once again. It is back to being the rivalry it once was. Okay, almost back to being the rivalry it once was. I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. Almost there. And you could feel it with the emotion when Rice scored. You could feel it just throughout the game, the way the players were comporting themselves. It was an awesome game. It was better than I thought it would be.
Oh, absolutely. It was much more exciting and to end football and great stuff. On that note, I do have a question for you because this game went to 13 minutes of stoppage time. We know the referees made a big deal. We saw it at the World Cup of how they're going to add every second on. Do you think it's getting out of hand? Because 13 minutes is a lot. Obviously, it's the fourth match of the season, so players are still fresh. But imagine you go through Champions League, Cups, all this other stuff, and third, fourth last match of the year, and you have to play 13 extra minutes. Mm-hmm. I personally think it's crazy.
Yeah, I think we went with the extreme. I think add a little bit on, but I don't like it because it's not just the physical aspect of it. It is the mental aspect of playing 90 minutes. Because I know the ball's out of play, but guess what? During that time, you're still thinking, you're still moving, you're still organizing, you're still doing stuff. It's not like you're just sitting there, you know?
You just shut off and
Yeah, it's not, you don't just do that. So then you see plus, let's say, 12 minutes at the end of a game when you've already
oh,
basically run yourself into the ground. You're like, are you kidding me? That is both physical and mental.
yeah.
So I think it's crazy for most of these circumstances. I get it. I really do. You want, at least from a viewing perspective, you want the fans to get what they paid for, I guess. But I think you went with a crazy, crazy way to do it. You should never, in my opinion, in a normal game, you should probably not have more than 6 minutes of stoppage time. You know,
Agreed.
when you're over that, you've got injuries, you've got weird kind of things that disrupt the flow. I think 6 minutes is already long, and I just don't think it should go more than that. Because, again, at that point, the players are gassed, they're mentally fatigued. I mean, it worked out well for my team this week.
I will say the only benefit is maybe getting those late winners, late equalizers in the 96th, 101st minute, but we shouldn't be playing that much. If they want all that to happen, just call matches draws and have them go to extra time every single time now.
Or stop the clock.
Yeah.
You know, I I don't like it. From a player's perspective, you got to think about the ones who are playing the game because this will wear on them throughout the year. And it again, it offered an insanely awesome moment for Arsenal fans. But if you're a Man U fan, you're absolutely pissed
Yeah.
that this is in play. So I guess it giveth and it taketh, but I just don't like it. I mean, from the fan perspective, whatever. I don't really care. I'm thinking more of the players. I just think it's unfair to do it to the players. I
Yeah.
think it's going to increase injuries and it'll just wear on players. And honestly, you might get a worse quality towards the end of the year because of it.
Yeah. I mean, teams, we already see Man City compared to everybody else, and that's because they have that depth to keep playing. Teams like, say, Luton, we've mentioned, Forest, Fulham. So a lot of these other teams don't have the insane depth. Even to an extent, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man U, they can't bring in players that you don't lose a beat. You will lose something if you take Saka off for a match, or Martinelli, or Odegaard, even
Oliva, yeah.
Saliba. It's those kind of things that those minutes will add up. And playing in European competitions, just other domestic cups, all that time adds together. And this is why I know Jurgen Klopp had been complaining about so much. He's always complaining recently of, oh, our players are all getting hurt, not enough time in the off season, too many
What's the
matches in such small time. This just adds another 5, 6 minutes, which doesn't seem like a lot. But when it's 4 minute extra 4 in the first half, extra 5 in the second half, that does take a toll. And like you said, it's not just physical, it's also that mental aspect. And it could be very draining by the end of the season.
And for people who don't understand, some of these guys run 8+ miles a game
Yeah.
before this happened.
Yep.
You are shattered. If you're a midfielder, you are moving so much. Even like me as a defender in a college game, I will hit 6 miles. You run a lot. And when you add this extra time on, it kills you mentally first, I feel like, and that goes to the physical. Because at that point, you're like, what the hell? I'm already dead, and now I got to keep doing this. And you said something earlier about Klopp when he's talking about the shorter preseason because of what happened with the World Cup. If you're FIFA, like if you're any of these organizations, you're FIFA, you're the FA, you're the Premier League, you're whatever. Why would you implement this year when you have shorter recovery period? Why would you do that to the poor players? You know. I mean, I blame FIFA going back all the way for putting the World Cup in Qatar because that absolutely boned everybody.
Yeah.
But why would you implement a new rule like that? You're just adding on to the already existing level of fatigue that these players have. And oh, by the way, congrats, you had a shorter preseason this year. Now you get to go play the Euros next year. You get to go play the Copa America. You get to do all this. And you just throw this onto it, so you're just going to add extra fatigue. I think is crazy. If you want to experiment with it, why would you do it now?
Exactly. It's not the right time. Give it another year because, like you said, shortened, messed up season last year because of the World Cup. Seasons are meant to usually finish about
May,
mid early May.
early
Premier
May,
League season
probably.
last year didn't finish until the end of May. Champions League final was in June. So I gave them more or less for Man City. I'll use them as an example because they were the extreme. You get 2 months when you finish your season and when you start the next season, which you're like, oh, these guys make so much money, they should be fine to do it. Body should be fine. They're just people at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do that. It's
Takes a physical and it takes a mental toll.
yeah,
Again, no one is saying that what they're doing is harder than someone who has to go work at a steel mill 6 days a week for
yeah,
12 hours.
but
But it does take a lot out of your body to be a professional athlete. That's why you see so many players get fat when they retire. Straight up, because you're like, I'm done with this shit. I've done it. I'm enjoying life. I can't do this anymore. It is a grind. And you want those few weeks a year, man, where you just get to relax on a beach. You get to do something. You want that time off, and you didn't have it as much this year because of the lengthened season and the shortened
yeah.
preseason. Because you still need to have the same length of preseason.
Oh yeah, otherwise you're gonna come back into the season and injuries are gonna happen. You won't be fully fit, fully match ready, and stuff like that'll happen. That's why I know seeing what you were having to go through is 2 weeks of pure carnage by the sound of it for preseason.
Hell, 2.5 weeks of pure hell.
And that's for college soccer in the US. That's not professional in the world's biggest league, arguably. It's crazy.
So what these guys are doing, it's not as intense because you have longer periods to do it, but I feel like you're probably way more tired because you're playing way more preseason games, you're doing way more trainings, you have way less time off than college players do. So the level of fatigue I felt for what these guys feeling, it's gonna be crazy.
Oh, it has to be. It's absurd. Are we going to move on from that? Do you want to touch on? We were thinking of touching on the Liverpool Aston Villa match. We could probably do that quickly. I think more than anything, that was just a shock. I thought Villa was going to put up more of a fight, but 3-0. Took 3 minutes for a guy whose name I cannot pronounce to save the life of me. Too many Z's and S's.
Oh, Dominic Szoboszlai?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy. It was
Szoboszlai.
3 minutes in. Schlabazai.
Szoboszlai. Yeah.
Schlabazai. I'll get it one day. But 3 minutes for him to get it going. Matty Cash scores one goal.
The Szoboszlai goal was nice.
Yes, it was. A good assist from Trent as well, who
Mm.
I don't get it. Trent seems there's moments where he seems pure class and other times where he seems like he should be playing in League One.
Because he can't defend.
No.
He
Yeah,
can't defend. So if he's having an off day on the ball, he looks terrible because he can't do the one job you're supposed to be able to do as a defender. I know, obviously, the game has evolved to a point where wing backs are basically forwards, but you still need to be able to defend. He can't do that. But like you said, looked very good today.
I did indeed. Kind of not surprising. Mo Salah gets another goal, and
Is
a
that
team
his
that
last goal for Liverpool?
yeah, a team that we were very high on in Aston Villa has seemed to disappoint a little bit as of late or this
Yeah.
season. Won their last two before this Liverpool match, but that was against Burnley and Everton. So if you don't beat them, yikes.
Yeah, and they got run off the pitch by a Newcastle team who's struggling. So
Yeah, that loss is looking worse and worse each week. Obviously, 4 matches in, take everything with a grain of salt. It's not all that, but Everton relegation zone, Burnley bottom of the league. Aston Villa's got their work cut out for them. I do have complete faith in them, but they're going to need to turn it around quickly.
It's still early, and they're only in 10th place. They have 6 points. It's very, very early, but yeah, they didn't. You expected more because Liverpool hasn't looked great. Hats off to Liverpool. They suddenly have turned it around ever since the Van Dijk red card. Somehow Nunez scores 2 goals, which you'll never see happen again because he has a certain proclivity for hitting the post or putting it wide and not actually scoring.
Yeah.
Did that twice this game. Um, but yeah, they've looked like a new team ever since the second half of that game.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there. Liverpool's one of the few teams, maybe like 6 teams that have still yet to lose a match this season, except it feels like week in, week out, oh, Liverpool played terribly. They should have lost, but somehow didn't. They're finding ways to win, which early on in the season, that could be the difference of I don't think they'll win the title, but difference of making Champions League, making Europa League, or something like that. It's a big difference getting those scrappy wins and just finding ways to get results in your favor.
Hmm.
Does take me to the table of where we are now, because I do want to just go over this. Is this, I think, at least the number one spot, kind of what we expected. Man City's up there.
Yeah.
Only team with 12 points. They are the only perfect team so far. 4 wins, 4 matches. Is anyone going to catch them? I know it's not been the toughest of schedules, but 11-4, 2 goals against. They've looked pretty superb.
I think they could get caught though. They looked weak against Sheffield United.
Yeah, and then they came out and beat Fulham 5-1.
Yeah, that's the problem. I do think on a given day, yes, someone can. Dude, first of all, I think the second Man City goal offside.
Well,
I
yes,
actually
it was. Ake's goal was 100% offside.
that.
Yeah,
Look, City still would have won the game, but
that changes things.
yeah, because suddenly it's 2-1 right before halftime. That's demoralizing.
Yep.
And your manager is like still thinking about that. He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And if you're a player, you're like, "Dude, what the hell?"
Yeah, we know he was offside. Why is it not? Why are we now down 2-1? Well, I
But
think even Holland, I want to say, mentioned that he was offside post match. He's like, yeah, it wasn't even close. So we all thought he was going to be ruled off.
because he messed with Leno's vision. He was in an offside position. The ball literally went right by him. How is that not offside? That's
I mean,
by definition offside. It
yeah.
looks so blatant in it that anyone with any minimal knowledge of the offside rule would be able to say, "Oh, yeah, that's offside." How is that not offside?
Because VAR is useless 9 times out of 10.
It really,
Or it's not even VAR is useless. The people that use it and run it, the officiating is gotten worse and worse over the last few years.
yeah, we could have a whole talk
That's
about.
a whole, yeah, I was gonna say we could have an hour-long episode just on the refereeing issues and how it's a mess. But sticking to the table, Man City first, top. Then it's a 4-way tie. Goal difference obviously has them in these orders, but Tottenham, Liverpool, West Ham, Arsenal, second through fifth, all on 10 points. Brighton right behind at 6, and Crystal Palace in seventh with 7. That kind of wraps up the early European spots. Crystal Palace has been one that surprised, I'll say that much.
Yeah, I feel like they've been flying under the radar as well.
I didn't really even realize they were 7th until
Neither did I till
into
right.
this.
Yeah, but they haven't really played. Okay, Sheffield United on the opening day, they lost to Arsenal,
A match that
and then beat Wolves. So nothing like crazy, but they've been getting some good results.
yeah, they're going to be tested here in a little bit, but still, there's not. I guess that's the stretch where we'll find out how good they truly are. At West Ham, home to Bournemouth, then home to Liverpool, at City, home to Brighton.
Hmm.
That will be a tough stretch for them.
Yeah,
We'll see. Maybe Palace can keep it going. Obviously, we thought they would. I thought they would struggle significantly on the goal scoring end, losing
yeah.
Zaha. They do only have 5 goals on the season, but also only conceded 4. So it's sort of thing. Bless you.
Hey, wow. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I honestly, I I haven't looked at the table since the weekend minus the top 5.
Yeah.
I had no idea that they were right there. So yeah, they've had a pretty good start.
Mhm.
I feel like another team that's not getting talked about enough is Tottenham.
Yes,
Why are
100%.
we talking more about Tottenham? They've got 10 points. They look really good. People like kind of just threw in, oh yeah, Son got a hat trick as well, but Holland got one, and then this 18-year-old got one. So I feel like Son was the afterthought in that.
Mhm.
But 5-2 against Burnley, 2-0 against Bournemouth, beat Man U 2-0 convincingly. Um, And yeah, apart from the tie with Brentford on the opening day, they've looked very, very good. Ange Postecoglou, what a manager! I
It's
mean,
a,
they
such
look
a sneaky team, and all of the attention was away because it was, oh, Harry Kane's left. Tottenham are in trouble now. James Madison, as you've said so many times on this show before, arguably the best signing.
yeah,
Him and James Ward-Prowse, we'll
far
throw
more.
two out there. The two best signings probably of this offseason in the Premier League. And it's just changed so much. Like he comes in, he gets a goal, has what? Oh, didn't actually have an assist this week. That's a first.
Which is crazy because
Madison's been on an absolute tear this season and since moving to Tottenham, and it's been great to see. And it's kind of one of those underrated things that you don't get a he does not getting a lot of love.
no, he's not. I found that interesting during the summer because I saw that signing. I've always thought he's a good player, and I saw that signing. I was like, wow, that's a great signing. No one talked about it that much. There was a quick little article on ESPN about it. That was it. I was like, why aren't more people talking about it? And they still feel like people aren't talking about it like they should be talking about it. This year, 2 goals and 2 assists in 4 games. Those are great numbers.
I mean, it's earned himself a call up to the England squad as well.
Yeah,
So
and he's a great signing for them because they haven't had a playmaker since Christian Eriksen. I feel like
yeah,
now it's not their guy. I feel like no one was talking about it, but now Tottenham looks incredible. They keep Son, who is an absolutely insane footballer. They unfortunately have Richarlison. I will say that's their weakness right now. I still I can't with
would
that
you
guy.
rather Charlison or Nunez up top?
Oh Jesus. Yeah, you're not screwed either way. Um yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, I'll take Nunez, honestly. But yeah, Madison got a goal this week. Romero's been good.
Yep.
He's
Tottenham's
been
in such a
Van
sneaky team. It's
Van de Ven, a young center back, has been very good.
yeah.
I think Pedro Porro, I think Vicario's done a decent job, can do better.
And
Maynard Solomon, good player.
I'm gonna put this out there. Tottenham's already out of the EFL Cup, so that's one less thing. They didn't. I don't believe they're in any. Are they in Champions League? Why am I blanking on it?
No, they're
No,
not.
I don't think they're in any European competition this
I think
season.
they missed out.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like it. So that's a huge benefit for them. All they have to worry about now is the league and potentially the FA Cup, and the FA Cup when it starts. Meanwhile, everyone around them, it's Man City, Liverpool, West Ham, Arsenal, even Aston Villa to an extent. Brighton has European football this year. All these teams are going to be playing so many more matches. This is the kind of season we could see Tottenham really kind of. I don't think they'll beat out Man City, but I could see them finishing top three just because they'll be fresh and they won't be playing games every 3 or 4 days. It's makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I feel bad. Okay, I'm always gonna bet against Tottenham. I have to. I'm an Arsenal fan. But when we were doing our preseason predictions, I had them finishing in 7th place. I think I again 4 games in, everything could change, but I think I may have drastically um
Overlooked them.
overlooked, underappreciated how good they are. Like you said, they're going to be focusing on the Prem now. You got the Prem and the FA Cup. That's it. So, yeah,
I hate it.
they could finish. They could challenge City and Arsenal up at the top. Why
We'll,
not? They've
we'll,
got the team to do it.
we'll find out in a couple weeks because come back from the international break, Tottenham are home to Sheffield United, and then it is that North London derby at the Emirates, September 24th. So that one, and then a week, 6 days later, they're home to Liverpool. Big week. Be very telling for Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to continue moving down the table. Brentford 8, Forest 9, Villa 10. All sounds about right. And this is where it gets fun. 11 through 14.
Mm-hmm.
Man United at 11, Chelsea, Fulham, and Newcastle. 3 teams that are extremely disappointing this season, and it's kind of very funny seeing all 3 of them sit in the bottom half of the table.
Yeah. I think Fulham's right where
Fulham's where we expect to be.
like I think that's about where they are as a team. But yeah, dude, I'm looking at my predictions right now. Again, very early, but I have Newcastle finishing the year in third. Right now, they're in 14th.
Yeah.
3 points. That's it. I had Man U finishing in fifth. Right now, they're in 11th. 6 points. Haven't looked too great. Actually, they've looked pretty bad. Arsenal game was the best they've looked, and even then, they couldn't get a result.
Yeah.
Um,
They're lucky. They've been very, very lucky this season. Should have drawn with Wolves. You can say shoulda, woulda, coulda all day. Should have drawn with Wolves on the opening day. Should have been a penalty. I will say impressive comeback against Forest, but Forest still looked like the better team in that match. It was just things fell United's way. Lost to Tottenham, lost to Arsenal. It's not been a great start to the season for.
No, it has not. And then I had Chelsea finishing in ninth, which looks like I gave them way too much credit.
Yeah. I think everybody was thinking, at least in our vendetta, we did a Premier League roundtable predictions, also have a power rankings out, kind of where we expected all the teams at the moment. And I think we all shot too high on Chelsea. They have not looked good.
No, they've
Not
looked.
see how it improves at the moment unless drastic measures are taken. And like I said, you had them at ninth. I had them at seventh, maybe eighth. It's not great. Definitely overshot on them.
Yeah. So again, just 4 games.
Can't
games,
be overreacting yet. Well, we can.
But no, of course we can. That's literally what vendetta is.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, dude, I'm shocked. Newcastle's the one where I'm like, guys, what are we doing? Because they had a great transfer window, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Finale.
I mean, they come out first match of the season, and we're all thinking Aston Villa is going to be a tough team this year. Thump them 5-1. Haven't scored. They've scored twice since then.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're an interesting one to say the least. I'm going to go down just the rest of these teams kind of all make sense where they are. Wolves 15, Bournemouth 16, Sheffield United and Everton. Props to them. Finally got a point. Everton finally scored their first goals of the season this weekend. 2-2 draw there. So they're both 17th for Sheffield, 18th for Everton. Goal difference respectively. -3, -6. Sheffield slightly ahead. Then Luton and Burnley. Both teams have only played 3 matches. They had the match between the two of them postponed because Kenilworth Road was not up to standard yet, was not finished. So those teams are 0-3 each. No wins, no draws, 3 losses, no points. They've been outscored combined 20-5.
Yeah, I was expecting a little more from Burnley. I was hoping at least,
Yeah.
But wow, dude.
Go ahead. It's bad.
I feel like this might be a year where you see a very large disparity between the bottom and like probably bottom 4 teams and the others.
Yeah.
I think Luton. I'm thinking right now you gotta say Burnley. I tip them to stay up. Right now you gotta throw them. Everton and Sheffield United are all going to be just absolutely outclassed by the rest of the league, and one of them will somehow get to stay up. But this could be a year where you could argue for 4 teams to get relegated based on performance. I think that's what we're looking at right now, unless things change.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like it really will change all that much. Looking ahead, Everton come back after the international break home to Arsenal. That's not ideal for them.
We lost that one last year, didn't we?
Yeah, you did.
We did, so.
But wasn't that was late in the season, I believe? Oh, no, that was February. Lost 1-0 at Everton.
That was the beginning of the downfall.
It really was. That's right.
It wasn't the beginning, but it was a hint of what was going to come in a month.
Yeah. Well, I mean, next big one for the two of them is Everton and Luton, Saturday, September 30th. God, any of like you said, any of these three, any of these four teams, all deserve to go down. Whichever, I don't see how Bournemouth or Wolves really get dragged into it this year.
Mm,
Like last year, it was about, and I don't get it wrong. Bournemouth's only got 2 points. Wolves only have three, so it's not like they're that far ahead by any means. But it just seems like they have played better and have. They will beat all four of those teams in my opinion, when they play each other.
yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say Bournemouth is going to be out of the woods. They only have 2 points, but they've played far better teams and looked better.
Yeah.
When they've done it. So I'm going to give them a little more credit. And once they have Tyler Adams, that could help sure things up. Little American bias for you, but
He couldn't hang.
kind
He
of
didn't be there.
he wasn't made for the championship.
No. Well, he was made for the championship. He just doesn't think he was made for the championship.
Dude, you're right. He actually is literally perfect. He
would
face after everything. Like
bias aside, he would have absolutely dominated in the championship.
that might be like obviously you want to play at the highest level you can, but sometimes it's just like you're built for certain leagues. Adama Traore is a championship level player, man. He's a champion. He would be a championship god.
Oh, I know. It's like just go down. If you're not going to get a playing time, go play on a like championship squad. Score 35 goals, and I mean, look at Mitrovic for example. He scored damn near 40 goals one season in the championship. Went up to the Premier League and had 3.
Yeah, dude, that's why someone like Daryl Dike, when he stays healthy, absolute menace in the championship because he's just physically like the most gifted human being on the planet.
You know who needs to go on loan to the championship to get back to scoring waves? Richarlison.
Dude, he needs to. I think he would actually kind of not do well in the championship.
Oh, he'd get too tired. Too many matches.
And he does too much stupid little tricky shit. I think he'll just get clattered.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to end on some more. We were going to talk some international stuff, but we are already to an hour. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, not all that many exciting games. Going to end you on this note. The most exciting match of the weekend, one that I think we can agree on. Absolute riveting match from Ellen Road. Leeds and Sheffield Wednesday, our two teams. God, we were both bad.
Dude, we're terrible.
What do you expect anything from Wednesday this year?
No. Okay, after opening weekend, I actually felt pretty good.
Okay.
We're 1-1 with Southampton for a while, who I think is the best team in the championship on paper.
Yeah.
So I was actually like, all right, there we go. Maybe we got something going. Yeah, ever since then, I have been like, yeah, we're terrible. There's not any hope. To be fair, we're not in last anymore.
That is true. You have a point.
Yeah, we have 1 point. One solitary point. Thank you, Leeds.
Hey, our bright side for us is that's the first shutout we've had in damn near a year.
There you go. You got it against a offensive weapon of a team.
Offensive juggernaut.
Yeah.
Some would say.
Yeah.
But God, that was just
Wednesday's bad, dude.
I listened to that entire match on like the Leeds radio commentary, and every 2 seconds I was like, oh, and he shoots it and it's not even close. Have a free kick, puts it 10 yards wise.
I had to hit the high C's so I could stream the game. Yeah, that was the move. And I was like, I'm risking viruses for this. I'm risking
things we do for our teams.
Dude, guess who Wednesday's next game is?
Ipswich?
Yeah.
Oh, it is Ipswich.
There you go. I love it.
Guess that being said, we beat Ipswich 4-0.
That is their one loss.
4-3.
That is their one loss, huh?
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, I have a feeling Wednesday's not going to do that. But
hey,
who knows?
At least neither of us have to worry about the EFL Cup either anymore. So
yeah, that's true.
One last thing.
It's a fake trophy anyway.
Oh, it is. It's the Man City Invitational.
Yeah, but
realistically, are you expecting relegation this year? Or do you think you'll manage to stay up?
Relegation for sure. Yeah, relegation. I think it's the only realistic way to look at it if you're looking at Wednesday. I mean, we just don't have the players, man. I think Lee Gregory is not bad. I like Windass. We have our own Reece James, but yeah, no, we're not. We're not staying up.
Yeah, it's a one season wonder for the better of the two Sheffield teams. Maybe we could see that a double Sheffield relegation.
That would be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't expect Leeds to do much either. I think mid-table mediocrity is the way I would describe it.
Yeah. Realistically, all your players are on loan, so
Oh God, yeah, it's bad. I
Mm.
mean, there is a world where I can see somehow our attack gets going, but it's just defensively, it's so bad.
that was a problem for so long.
Oh, I know. Even with the Bielsa era, it was all go 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 go.
No,
Games would be 5-4 or 4-3 every single week, and it
yeah.
was exciting, but not sustainable.
Yeah.
Oh well, this is a Premier League podcast. We don't talk that much about the championship for mostly depressing reasons.
Hey, a taste of the championship never hurt.
No, Preston, Ipswich looking like they're going up as of now. Leicester right behind. Who knows? We got a lot of games left in that league. That is, well, the Premier League's a 38 match season. Championship's a 46 match season. So big difference. A lot of games. A lot of time to go.
Yeah.
Jackson, any final words before we call this one a show?
Should be a fun international break. I'm excited to see how guys like Nketiah gets his first call up.
Yeah.
Excited to see how he does for England. Some other guys, got to keep an eye on the Anthony situation. So there's a lot going on, even though we have a week off.
$1 million question for me. Are we going to see Harry Maguire and Calvin Phillips actually get playing time?
I know. That's
controversially. I just want to say they were both called up to the England squad. Where the hell is James Ward-Prowse?
right.
Where's Raheem Sterling?
How are you going to call up Calvin Phillips and not call up Ward-Prowse? Explain that to me, whatever. But
And Southgate's apparently leaving after the 24 Euros.
what do you think about Southgate as a Brit?
I mean, he hasn't won anything. So, but neither did any other manager. He's doing what he can. I think he's a little too friendly with certain players. Like why is a guy who's gone to the Saudi Arabian League still on the national team?
Vice captain.
Why is Calvin Phillips? Love Calvin Phillips for his Leeds days, but he shouldn't be on there. I am glad. Oh god, why am I blanking his name? The AC Milan defender. Oh, Tamori.
Yeah, I'm glad he's finally included.
I'm very happy he's up there now. Excited to see Nketiah get his shot. But I'm gonna end on this. I don't know if you saw this report. Rumor, to say the least, that England wants one Pep Guardiola to take over after Southgate. I don't see it happening. I don't know how that would really work out, honestly, but
I thought Pep was going to leave 25. So I thought that was the plan.
I think it
Down,
was.
dude. I'm waiting for that day when the Premier League can be competitive yet again.
Yeah. No, he's going to go to No, he's going to go to Brighton. No, not Brighton. Brentford. He's going to go to Brentford, and suddenly Brentford's going to become a world powerhouse.
I'd love
Heard
to
it here first. Heard it here first.
I'm still hoping the U.S. national team job.
We'll see. A lot of stuff to go. A lot of time. Someone will be the managers of both of them. Probably someone new for U.S. and England by the time the World Cup comes in 26. Jackson, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you, the viewers, for watching the It's Called Football podcast, the Vendetta Sports Media's only football soccer podcast, and probably will be for a while. Make sure you tune in next week. No Premier League, but we will do an International Week special then. So stay tuned and have a good weekend.